Hi, everybody. Welcome to our very late in the month first draw along for this month's pattern. And it won't be like this in other months. It's just that I wanted to schedule in a little bit of a break and I couldn't figure out how to do it with other commitments that are coming up next week. So I thought, okay, let's just plonk it in the middle. So yeah, it worked out a little bit oddly, but I appreciate so much more how people are just patient with me and my odd schedules and changes. So honestly, thank you so much. Okay, I have a desktop arranged beautifully for you to look at. As per usual, if you want to join in, literally, you can put it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and like just pipe up, speak, and we can see how it goes. Often, if you're a newbie, it can be quite a scary thing to draw at the same pace as me. So you can like do that and you can like attempt it. That sounds like it's such a ridiculous concept. But as soon as you start feeling like, I'm getting stressed, I can't keep up. Um, there's a certain amount of I can repeat things, but then I would say just stop, pause, and watch. And then when the recording comes through, you can then continue. Um, and also somebody said it, I think it was Anne. She said, would it be possible to post the recording in time for tomorrow? So I'm going to basically, as soon as this Zoom's over, I'm going to start uploading it and let it kind of do its thing and try to get it posted like as soon as possible. Usually I kind of give a little bit of time just in case of technical difficulties and me. So this time what I'll do is I'll just do it as soon as possible so that you still have time if you would like to watch this, rewatch this and then join in tomorrow if you so wish. Otherwise, don't feel obliged to do things at a kind of pace that's uncomfortable. Do it at a pace that is good for you. Anyway, welcome to the spread. Do you like it? Okay, so this pattern, if we kind of go back to how I came upon it, I basically, you can see a lovely little image of a page from Jules Bourgoin, and he's a French European explorer, and kind of he took it upon himself to document these patterns. And there are how many plates? 190 plates. And in the handout, the links do work. And what he did, he basically collated these patterns. And so some people, or one person, Tony Lee, he took it upon himself to source the patterns. So where you can find them in real life. And that's a really tricky job to do anyway, because a lot of architecture doesn't survive. Um, so therefore, even if it's just 100 and something years old, is it still there? Maybe, maybe not. But this pattern, Tony Lee couldn't find a source for. And so it's in this kind of compendium of 190 Islamic geometric patterns found in places like Egypt and where he was traveling in the Near East. But as to where it is, it's a mystery. A couple of people mentioned, is it or could it be a Chinese pattern? And I can see the similarity to Chinese motifs. And I tried to research that. I didn't get very far. So I don't know what to type in apart from Chinese motifs, Chinese patterns, and these sort of things. And I just wasn't getting very far. So my ignorance of that kind of world of kind of surface patterns was limited. So I still don't know where it's from, but it's a head boggler. But loads of people managed to draw it, so I was so grateful that people persevered. And I know it's a head boggler because this was my first attempt. I just gave up because I was like, what's going on? I sort of had to step away. I had such a grand idea of doing, red lines on top of the pencil lines and then black outline and then gold. I just thought, I don't like you anymore. So that was first attempt. Second attempt, I still didn't finish because I started going wrong. I just like you lose some sort of will to continue when there's a little mistake that's bothering you. And I wanted to get into a rhythm with it. So that happened on the third attempt. So I hope when I share these things, You don't feel disheartened if you've had a similar experience of not getting it the first time. They, they're really like often these patterns are layer upon layer, and you're learning to see, you're learning to draw. And this one, the shapes are so, it's all rotational symmetry. So it's much harder than just seeing something and reflecting it. You have to kind of rotate it. And it's like they completely transform when they're one orientation to the other, but you get to know it. Anyway, so that was my third attempt. And then finally, the fourth attempt, somehow I don't love it anymore, but it was a good one. And then I took it like my holiday, yeah, like my holiday. And again, I did it in here. And as you can see from my notation, it's not right. Like I was like again wound up by it. But I persevered. And you can see all my little holiday sketches here. Not all of them actually, because some of them for next month. So therefore, you don't know. No, you can't. Alexandra's asked, "What's your favorite size?" That is a good question. I I don't know. What is my favorite size? Oh, I like
I
doing
guess
this.
I guess
I
the
like
easiest to work with, I suppose.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, I understand then in that respect, the bigger the better. I don't favor doing small things the way other people do. Like I see they get so much joy out of that challenge and they really rise to the challenge, whereas I'm more likely to swear, have a tantrum and like run away. So this was a major effort for me, but I enjoyed it because I just had a chilled time. And also I changed the pattern. And I have to have a little mini rant actually, because when I shared this on Instagram, two people wrote, one of them, he said, "Oh, avoid danger." And the other person wrote like a whole paragraph saying to me, "Oh, it looks like, the Nazi fascist swastika." And what really, I don't know, really, can I swear? It really annoys me when you take something that somebody else has misappropriated and in the grand scheme of the history of a swastika and symbols of this nature, we're talking about thousands of years, I need to change my behavior because of something that's happened in, World War II, Nazi Germany. And it's horrific. It's terrible. The symbolism of it is not uniquely connected to that event. It's wider. It's way wider. And I just think it's such a like a Eurocentric, like history revolves around this. I'm like, no, 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 no. Let me educate you that this pattern, I've seen it in Persian art, I've seen it in Indian art. It's even got an Indian name. So, like, I don't want to diminish or belittle anything that's happened in history, but like, I can use it because I'm not referring to it as a horrible fascist symbol. Not ever, 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 ever. I even did somebody said, "Have you become part of Musk's team?" Oh, I hate that man. Like he's awful. He's awful. But like I just was really annoyed that you would like I don't know. I just think my intentions are clear that I'm literally drawing Islamic geometric patterns. This is a version of it that you see it like I taught one 2 years ago. Like it's in Persian art and it's so prevalent. So yeah, and then when we had that Zoom, oh, it was so interesting to hear about the history of this symbol in India because that's where the name swastika comes from. So I was fascinated. But anyway, tantrum over. Did I? I don't know if it's the right thing to say, but I was just really like, no, the world is bigger than all of this. History is longer than the last, I don't know how many years. Hope I haven't said it wrong. Okay, so then I did this. This is really nice. Then I did my Arabic holiday homework. Then I did another one and it went wrong. Then I did this tiny one. Then I did this. And then I went back to this. Okay, so one of the things I love about other people's sketchbooks is how they go all the way to the edge. Like, wow, like how'd you do that? Okay, so I found a little trick. So what I did was I slipped a piece of paper underneath this and I just extended the circles onto that piece of paper. So then I had somewhere for my compass to poke into to make the little, look at that tiny, can you see this detail? Can you see that tiny little circle? Imagine where the compass would have to be to draw it. Okay, imagine this one, the center is off my paper. So I was thinking I was such a like genius Sad times. So that's how I managed to basically extend the pattern beyond my paper. So all the tip is what you do is whatever paper you're working on, slip one underneath, and then when you need to put your compass on other parts, you've got a place to put it on. And then once everything's drawn, when you're painting, you don't need that anymore. You can just paint it. So it's not madly genius, but it's quite cool. I can't show you too much because basically next month's pattern in here. I did this, I didn't love it. I did this, this is good size, I did that. I don't know why I'm showing you my whole holiday homework. Can't show you the rest. It's for next month. Okay, so for this pattern, essentially, if we look at one of the examples, everything you're drawing is within this circle. But as I just alluded to then, sometimes it's useful to just have, for example, this, have something just outside the circle, you know, like to help you draw it. But it just, yeah, you don't necessarily need it. So what my meaning for talking about this is when you're drawing on a piece of paper, don't go all the way to the edge. Do you see what I mean? Just go, leave a little bit of a space. Elizabeth, love your sketchbook. Thanks for sharing. I never have a sketchbook. I had to, once I did a workshop with the Royal Academy of Art, and they were like, share your sketchbook. I thought, thank God I had one sketchbook that I'd filled. And I sort of like talked about it, almost building like a fake narrative of how a sketchbooky I am. And basically for a month, I was that person. Outside of that month, I really am not like that because I'm all on paper and da 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 da. But yeah, it was quite funny that I was like, yeah, I can be this person, I can be this artist. So I was, but just for like a very short period. Okay. All right. So what we have is I've got quite a large piece of paper, A3, but I'm actually not going to work on the A3. I'm going to work on, actually, no, am I going to work on the A3? Yes, I shall. Okay. So the reason why you might want to work bigger is because two things. Your compass, it has an you know, like an optimal size, and if you try to do two small things with it, then it's harder and fiddlier on your hand. So using A3 is just a little bit easier. And then secondly, painting it might be easier, but again, it just depends on your preference because some people just love working smaller brushes, smaller everything. So what can, you know, you got to find what you enjoy. Okay, so we shall begin. And if I just go through the handout a little bit because there's a lot on there, and I think you can see it. Let's make it a little bit brighter. Yeah. Okay, so the first page is just kind of me talking about Jules Bourgoin and the book. Then you've got all the stages for drawing it and some fiddly little things in there, and then it's done. But if you want to take the central hexagon, so if you kind of ignore these borders, let's go back one step. There's a hexagon, and you can tile a hexagon the same way you can tile a rectangle and fill a whole space. So therefore, if this is small enough, and say if that's small enough, then you can repeat the pattern a lot more. So here you can see the hexagon is being tiled, and therefore you can have a continuous pattern, fill the page like beyond your wildest dreams, or you can trim it to a rectangle. But the idea of repeating the pattern rather than drawing all of the repeats singularly, I do that with the tracing paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw something this size and aim for this as the outcome. And then in tomorrow's Zoom, so close, we're going to take this concept. Okay. And for those of you, so also let me confess, I did this set of steps without realizing what I was doing. And I got so far and then I realized that's not even the drawing I was aiming for. But I thought actually, if I just continue it, it's potentially the kind of the template for doing more repeats fully drawn. I think one or two people have drawn it. I think Nilofer Chowdhury, she drew it, a beautiful reel she made, gold on black paper. Please do check it out. And if anybody can link it, you're my buddy. Okay, so the second one is a fuller construction. What that means is if you count like essentially what we've got here, we've got 1 surrounded by 6. So this 1, can you see this curvy little hexagon? It's got 6 more of it being repeated around it. And this one, the second one, the fuller construction, we've got way more. Let's count and traumatize ourselves. So 1 in the middle, it's going to be harder to see, but it's because it's not highlighted. So 1 there, and then 6 around it, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 around that. And then still we have some partial circles around that. So it's a lot more of a repeat. So it's a fuller construction or a fuller repeat. I don't know how to describe it. But yeah, and also once the grid is done, I just stop there because I was like, if anyone's doing this, they're gonna have a challenge. What's the word? Challenge type ability. Wait, what am I trying to say? They're gonna be into the challenge of it, so they'll be all right. So yeah, we are going to begin with not the fuller construction. Let's not traumatize everybody. We're going to begin with page 2, which is this lovely little circle. Okay, I'm just going to check one thing. Oh yeah, I'm gonna try and keep my paper. Let's get zoomed out a bit and then we can see. Okay, so can I just say I got out my lovely ruler today. I was like, why do I keep this all wrapped up and hardly ever use it? I need to use it. And in case you're interested, it's a really nice ruler. It's the name's here. It's it's kind of a UK based one, is it? Dough Crafts, made in China, but is UK. Okay, so X-Cut precision ruler. So these rulers are often cutting rulers. So what you'll find is, can you see there's a metal, whoa, what kind of zooming in am I hoping for there? There's a little metal thing there and it's got a beveled edge. So it's really cool. I love it. And Erica can confirm these are the best rulers. Yes, she is 100% correct. So I thought I'd get this out. And for some of the fiddly stuff, I'm just going to use my little triangle. I just think I have all these things and I love using them, but then I put them away because I don't want to ruin them. And okay, those of you who've been my buddies for a long time, I have got my fine liner pens, some of which don't work. And I wasn't throwing them away because I kept them in the box. And it felt really wild to me to have 48 pens in the box, and then 3 or 4 of them just removed. So what I've done is I've repurposed the box and I put them in my jar. Yay. Jonathan has just shared the Instagram link to Nilofer's reel with his pattern, gold on black. You're a star. Thank you. Please do have a look at it, guys. It's lovely. So yeah, some of these pens might not work, but then what I'll do is I'll throw them away. I'm getting better. I'm learning. So yeah, thank you for the advice. Harshly, like I was getting told off. Okay, so I will need to start with a horizontal line. So just to make sure everything's central. So I draw in pen just because I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. So there'll be different colors, just to make it easier for you to see. And just so that I can have a sense of what am I saying? I start a sentence, I don't know where it's going. So I normally just measure the middle and let's see. I don't know if I actually use the points. So it's going to be quite light initially, but it's going to get, the next layer is going to be a little bit darker. So 29, let's make it a little bit longer. It's dodgy, and mark the middle. Okay, so we are now ready to go. And I have my trusty compass and I'm going to put this in here. And basically I'd say the first 5 steps I'm going to do in this pen. Okay. Nuria, the brand so I don't know where you're based, but this is like based in the UK. X-Cut precision ruler. I've got links on my website under equipment, and you can find the link there as well. Cheesy grit. It's a really good ruler. Okay, so I'm yeah, my paper is like 29 and I've made a line 29. So I'm basically trying to square off my paper. So I'm not going to make my radius, all the way up to the edge. I'm making my radius about 11. Okay. So that's what I mean about not going all the way to the edge. So once you've decided your radius, you can draw your initial circle. Okay. And immediately pick it up and put it on the intersections you just created on the left and on the right, and create intersections on the circumference. So you just maneuver the compass above and below. And from here, I've made those two marks. And from here, I've made those two marks. And that divides the circle into 6. Delayed response. Okay, now that I've got my circle, I'm going to zoom in and set things up nicely. I like it to be tight. Okay, so I've got my circle. And so step 3 is to put in the hexagon and its diagonals. I've already got the one going across, so I'm just going to put in the ones I need. Now, when I use a pen, I have to use a pencil to position my ruler. So can you see I'm putting my pencil down, positioning it, and then let's hold it. Then I'll put my line in. Because what I don't want to do is use my pen to do this positioning, because I will then make a little blob. I just want to draw with my pen. I don't want to make marks. So when you're working in pencil, this isn't an issue. But when you're working in pen, it is an issue. And I know it's faint. I know. But it's going to get darker on the next stage. I think earlier lines, you want to do them slowly and carefully and lightly. So my equivalent is just using this light color. But the next step after this, or is it a few more steps after this, going to be darker. Oh, this is weird. Okay. Okay. And then we'll put in the 2 diagonals. And like a lot of people have been drawing this pattern, and I've drawn it several times now as well. And I feel like you sort of start picking up little tips or ways to do it better, either your own or by talking or seeing what others have done. And I'm glad in a way that the Zoom is now, because we can incorporate that as well in, like what we all do today. So I think actually it's inadvertently turned out well. Like the product has been fully tested. Okay, so now we're going to put in these 6 lines, and they're essentially connecting each point to the one that is 1 away. So imagine the hexagon, skip that point, go to this one and connect it. And I quite like doing it as pairs of parallel lines, because then you can do this one and slide your ruler to do the next one. I love efficiency. I wish efficiency was my middle name, but it's not. It's my dad's name. When you were at school, I felt like everybody had really pretty middle names, like Sarah Jane, Sarah Beth. Oh, we've got a pretty middle name here as well. Or like a double-barreled name. And there's me. I was like, it's my dad's name, Iftikhar. So I was okay. It's a really hard name as well. It's like people don't know how to say it. So Iftikhar. But we learned a way of describing it to people. So we're like, if the car don't start, the bus, if the car, do you get it? Okay, sorry, that's my dad's name. Oh, okay. All right. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to put in. Wait, haha, I hated my middle name as a kid. Oh, so Sarah Beth, I would have been in the class with you. Is Beth your still middle name? Because I would have been in class thinking, that's a really pretty middle name. Okay, so we are going to add in these 3 extra lines that basically divides our circle into 12. So if I show you what we're using, so this central hexagon, we're going to put a line this way, and this way. Okay, and again, I think this is the last time I'm insisting on using this light color, but who knows. And this way, And these constructions. Okay. I hate my middle name. It's Elizabeth, shortened to Beth. Oh, sorry. That's nice. Also, what's really interesting? When people have a name, like I used to have a student, she was a retired lady, and her name was Anne. And I also had another student, and her name was Annie. And for some reason, I, I called Anne Annie once. Honestly, she was like, her face was like, whoa, don't call me that. So that's the other thing sometimes. A name, it can have different versions, but each person's not using all those versions. So Elizabeth and Beth, for example. Okay, so we are going to draw this circle, and this circle, we're going to draw it several times. So this is the first of the kind of is going to get tricky steps, but we can do it. So this grid is all laid out, but what I want you to notice is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 intersections. And let me just check. Yeah. And then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, plus the middle, 13. So we've got 13, those 6, these 6, and the center places that we're going to be putting the circle. But we only need to measure it in one place. So let's take, I'm going to do this in pencil actually. So as you can see from here, hopefully you can see, let me make it a little bit bigger and closer, because what I want you to be able to see is that you are connecting this intersection to this intersection. So the middle of the hexagon side to the middle of the hexagon side. So mark A and mark B, connect them, find C. So you mark it, and then you open up your compass centered on D to draw that circle. And that is the circle that you're going to draw 13 times. Okay, so A to B or A to B. Let's do it the other way around. So in fact, I feel I'm going to use my little ruler, guys. Why not? A to B. So I'm going to do it as a dotted line, just because then it's clear on my drawing that this is where I got the measurement from. The thing of people of the past, or geometers of the past, is a lot of the how to do it wasn't necessarily always visibly there. So we're living in a sort of an era of, oh, that's not even orange, is it? Let's check. Yeah, let's see. Okay, so do I want to do orange? I'll make it brown actually, because now we're drawing in things. Oh, no, I'm going to do it orange. Sorry. I've just realized the next step is going to be drawing circles. Okay, so this now is going to be this radius. So put your compass on the center and you can open it up so that it's hitting that point. Oh, you can see it. Like so. Okay. And then we are going to draw that circle. Is it blurring? No, it seems to be okay. Okay, now this circle, you're going to get industrious, folks. You're going to draw it another 12 times. So have in your mind that you're going to be doing something 13 times. And I try to do things logically, because then I hope I don't miss anything out. Okay, it happens to just almost touch your circle there, but it's not an actual intersection or a measurement that we're going to use. It's not precise, it's just near. Okay, and I'm working my way around clockwise, the inner lot, and then I'll do the outer lot in the same way. Okay, I'm going to turn this heat on. Anyway, okay, it's like peace and quiet. And as you're doing it, this hole or this point that you're making, it will also be where you're going to put your second circle. So in a way, this little indent you're making, this little pivot of a little divot of a little hole, you'll be reusing. So, me marking it as carefully and correctly as possible is good for these circles, and then it's good for the second round as well. Okay, so I've done my central one. I've done 6 further ones. I'm going to do 6 further ones again. And if I was doing that second construction, I'd be doing another 13. And this time, I'm just going to stop and start on the circle. and it's a-okay. Look at me, I say I'm stopping and starting on the circle and immediately go off. Somebody was talking about, or somebody commented something about perfectly imperfect, and I was like, oh my God, I'm such an imperfectionist. Like I came up with a phrase and a slogan for the t-shirt that I'm never gonna get. Imperfectionist. Because I don't really care about perfection. There's something else I do care about, but I don't know how to articulate it. Like I really give it my best shot. Like I really try hard and I like precision. I like things to be ordered, like order, symmetry, but I don't think that's perfection, is it? I don't know. Anyway, so this is the first set of circles. How are we doing? I'm gonna have a little slurp of my drink, and can you put in the chat or put in a little thumbs up or whatever that you're okay? And any questions, dive in. Yummy. What are you having for lunch, guys? That's what I want to know always. So I was on holiday. Did I tell you? It was an all-inclusive. I've never done that before. So like it was a buffet and every day they had like loads of breads, two soups. Didn't like the soups. And then such an amazing salad bar. Like I realized I really fine-tuned what veggies I love the most. And let me tell you, I love beetroot, I love broccoli, I love red cabbage, and I loved carrots. I love them the most. So every day I'd make my little selection. I could add sweet corn to the mix, I could add potatoes to the mix, but I wasn't gonna add aubergine. I don't really love it. I don't like courgette, and I don't like, what's the other one? I like them, but I don't love them. Anyway, so I was like, oh my God, it's like a buffet for 10 days made me realize what I truly, truly love. And I loved fish. Like every day I was eating fish, like the grilled fish, the fried fish, the whole fish. I was like, I love fish. Anyway, just so you know, if you ever wanted to know my top four vegetables, what are they? Broccoli, carrot, red cabbage, beetroot, and a potato. Top five. What are your top five vegetables? Go on, tell me. Okay, put it in the chat. Okay, so once we've done that, there is a little bit of an issue. Let's show my drawing. Now you've done this. The thing is we need information outside of the circle. Because if you think that there's this lovely little hexagon being born, okay, but where is it here? It's missing one of its curved sides. Okay, so I sort of thought of this in a way that I didn't. Sometimes I draw things and I prepare them in advance, but I wanted to kind of um I wanted to do it how I actually did it. Do you know what I mean? So I wanted to do it as I was doing it the day that I just extended things because I was like, that's quite a tactic I employ a lot of times. Like I just extend a line and do a certain measurement and like it works. So let me show you what I mean. So how do I get exactly that point? I'll show you. So this radius, or see this point here, this I want to put over here. So what I would do is I'll make that the distance on my compass. So this thing that I'm showing you now is things that I do often, but I don't necessarily have any opportunity to teach it. So this distance, I want the position on the outside. So I make that little mark and then I just extend this line. Okay, so that's kind of this little thing of transferring a distance from within to outside. I use the compass as a measuring tool. And although I've drawn a full line there, you don't need to. You can just draw what you need. So if we work around the drawing, we can do that in other places. Erica, I fear you maybe did all inclusive wrong if you focus on the salad. Okay, the thing is, right? Like the all inclusive stuff, the like so they had chips, right? And the way people queue for chips, it was nuts. I was like, they're just chips, man. Like when like you could just have chips anywhere. That's the easiest thing to buy and eat. But salad, somebody's chopped it up for me, peeled it, washed it, prepared it, put it in with a little dressing. I was like, ah, like I can't. I was so happy to have those things. Yeah, maybe I did do it wrong. And then also when there was fried chicken one day, oh my. God, the people went wild. So I realized my palette wasn't the same as other people's. So that distance, I'm going to transfer there. So can you see this distance is transferred there? So you're doing that in the six positions here. And also, I didn't really gain any weight because I thought, that's it, game over. I'm going for all inclusive. Surely I will come back with a lot more extra pounds, but I didn't. So I think that's an amazing win. Jonathan, oh, Jonathan's given his three. Are they your top three, Jonathan? Ginger. I love ginger. Why did I class it? I can't maybe eat it or munch it the way I'm munching carrots. Zucchini. So zucchini for us is courgette. I don't really get it. I don't really get it. I don't get it. I don't get zucchini. Butternut squash. It's all right. You know what? Tell me if anyone can psychologically tell me. I love things with a crunch. I love a crunchy carrot. And somebody was talking about something about sensation, like her son's autistic, and the way she was talking about food and what he enjoys, I was like, oh, do I like that? So is there something on the sort of spectrum of human needs that some of us feel more than others? The sensation of actually eating and biting and crunching, and so soft food doesn't appeal. Do you get me? Crunchy cucumbers. Oh my goodness. Isn't that the most refreshing, delicious thing ever? I did like the cucumbers, but basically, it's like cucumbers. I can eat those any day. But somebody chopping up vegetables for me. Oh my God. They're my hero. I'm so easily pleased. Oh my God. Okay. All right. So this thing about extending it, I've done it in one, two, three, four, five, six places. And I used a very specific radius for it. So I want this to be reflected on that side. So this distance is the distance of the actual grid. So it's like that is half of this. Okay, so you're measuring something specifically for that. And then to draw the circles back in, we then put back in the initial radius. And have I switched pens in doing this? I think I might have. No, I haven't. So now we can put in these slightly annoying, smaller, circles or arcs actually that have their centers outside our drawing. Okay, so we're going to use these marks, and then the result will be you're completing your lovely curvy hexagon. Okay, so I thought of, if I was to teach this in maybe a different way, I would have extended those lines earlier. But I just thought, well, I'm always doing these weird things, but maybe they're useful and maybe it could help you in other situations. So that's why I did it in a very specific way for this handout. Because if you wanted to extend a pattern in other situations and you just kind of haven't got the space, then this could be a way to do it. Okay, so now the thing I'm going to count actually is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of my hexagons are now complete, and we are celebrating vegetables. I love carrots. I remember once when I was a teacher, I had like literally a lunchbox full of cut carrots. And there was a student teacher. So I was an experienced teacher and a student teacher and a new teacher. I swear they semi-bullied me about my lunch. And I was like, well, if I added hummus, you'd think it's normal. But I don't fancy hummus today. I just wanted crunchy carrots. So I was the oddball. But yeah, I remember it vividly. I was like, oh, how are you inexperienced teacher and student teacher and me loads of experienced teacher trying to tell me about my carrots being wrong? Anyway, I don't know. I was very moody about that. Okay, distractions galore. Let's focus. Okay, so step number 10. This is the key step, but I have to say I've uniformed up this drawing, okay? Because what we've done is we've taken a measurement and we basically have made, let's have a look, made this inner circle. Okay, so we've drawn this point, made this inner circle, and then made this inner circle. So the outer circle is what we've already drawn, and this allows us to draw an inner circle, and it gives us a certain squareness in the drawing. Let me show you the next step. So if you look carefully, oh, it doesn't want to zoom in anymore. If you look carefully, that square, which is going to be repeating throughout the pattern, it contains a circle. So it's got curved sides, two of them curving out. How do I do that? How do I do it? Two of them curving out and two of them curving in. So it's not squarish. But when I looked at the original, can you see maybe if I measured it, let's see, let's measure it. I don't think it was as square as I was making out. So on this one, let's put 0 in the middle, is about 1.3. And this way it was about 1.2. So I actually think in the pattern, it may not be as square as possible. So I made it more square. So if you look closely at this and overlaid it onto the other one, you might find that look at these L's and I was like, look and look carefully. And when then you look at them here, there might be a certain difference of thickness. So as I draw this, I'm going to allude to this a little bit more because I want to kind of show you the decision I made on this pattern. So what we need to do is we need to take this little part here. It's called a vesica. So it's where the two circles overlap. And we are going to put in this line. And essentially this line, me drawing it once, but using it several times without drawing it is quite a good way to use the pattern. So I can find this vesica all over the drawing, but when I need to draw the pattern in, I don't need to draw the full line. Okay, so this is where having a tiny, tiny compass is quite useful. I'm going to just use mine because I want you to sort of see how it can be done. What we're going to do is put our compass in the middle. Oh, it is quite tiny. Let's see if I can make it. I'm somehow thinking if I make it bigger. Okay, let's see. There we go. Okay, so when you're doing this, can you see how my compass is leaned over? I want my compass to be a little bit more upright. So what I'll do is make my pen a little bit shorter. So imagine that hitting the paper. I want this to be a little bit more upright because then it's easier for me to spin round. So again, this is worth doing a little bit carefully and taking a moment over. Okay, so that side and that side are not symmetrical. How dare they? Oh, because life isn't. Let's see. I'm going to put it in and see what happens. Oh, I'd rather you see the boo-boo than me kind of pretend it didn't happen. Oh, okay. So that circle, it should be a little bit more symmetrical. But what it's given me is this point here. So let's have a look. So it's given me, I'm going to come over here. It's given me this point, and that's the radius that I'm going to choose. My thinking is if I was to do it exactly like the pattern on the handout, like I wouldn't put my radius there. I'd maybe move it 1 mil out, 1 mil in. Can't remember which one it is. Let me just quickly check. Let's go this way. I think it's actually shorter. Yeah, it was such a minuscule difference, and I just thought it's such a nonsense way for me to do it. Like draw this and then just go outside of it. I was like, no, that's nuts. So now we have our new radius. Jonathan is saying mine's the same. I don't know. I think essentially, I think we're okay because this pattern and this circle. Should I do it the same color? Because then you won't have the same situation as me. Okay, I'll just do it slightly different shade. Yeah. Okay. So I basically made the pattern more uniform than it appears in that printout. I mean, in that Bourgoin's plate. I made the judgment call. And if you want to sort of play with the pattern is made up of these two circles, the outer and the inner. You could change them. Like you'd essentially get the same shapes. Some would become smaller, one become larger. The L shapes might change the dimensions. So it could be a fun thing to do. And like, can you see I'm hitting it there? I think for a couple of them, I tried hitting it just like a sneaky peeky bigger. But yeah, I'm not going to do that here because I don't know that irregularity. I don't want to be too true to this pattern when there's literally a nice measure here that we can use. I think I learned that quite early on. Sometimes you look at the imperfections and the oddities of the patterns in architecture and you try to replicate them as sincerely and as carefully as possible. So now this we're going to draw 13 times plus the extra 6. So that's 19 times. Maths. So yeah, sometimes you look at the patterns in architecture, that's your only example, and then you apply the maths to it, and then you're like, did they make a weird, funny judgment call here? And sometimes it's worth doing what they did, and sometimes it's worth kind of just trusting a little bit of maths. So my maths was to make this circle sit inside this space symmetrically as possible. Who knows? Okay, now as I'm drawing the circles, what I'm going to also say is this pattern, coloring it in is really, really a good way of getting to know it rather than wanting to outline it straight away. So I remember when I first started teaching, there were some hard patterns I just decided to do no reason with like beginners. So the way we'd get around it is we'd start coloring in the pattern. And I think it's a worthwhile thing to do to get to know what's going on. So we've got one more step after this. I might just sort of show you what I mean by that as a tactic. And you could colour in the whole lot and then outline it or then trace it. Yeah. Sorry, that's a strange noise. Sarah Beth, my L shape has a skinny long side and a fat short side, but the overall pattern is good looking good. So looking okay. So I'm keep going. I think I want to refer to one of my dodgy ones because I feel like I have a similar example somewhere. Oh, it's this guy. Is it this? Yeah. So if we zoom in, the one that I abandoned, can you see that that is a little bit thicker than the actual line? So if I was to chop the pattern up properly, it has a skinnier part and a thicker part. So essentially, that choice that we make is trying to make the pattern as even as possible. And on that one, what is the decision I made? I think I tried to do it just outside the circle. So I just tried to do it outside the circle. And then in doing that, I actually thought, let me make it more uniform than it is. But I think actually, sometimes when you have these variations, they don't really make much of a difference. Like they still have that repetition and beauty. You've just got a slightly different shape that's repeating. So I think it's actually okay. That one I abandoned not because of that, but because it was just gone wrong. Ew, look at my paper, guys. I'm so proud of this. Okay, so we have done that, and here you can see on my little handout. That's all the places you need to draw the circle in. So they're the centers. And then once you've drawn them, did I actually draw them? Yeah, I drew them there. I just couldn't tell. And now we are going to start outlining the pattern. So this bit, what I will do is I will do this using my thicker pen. Did I put any thicker pens out? Where did I put my thick pens? Anna, my Scottish mother used to say, a blind man would be pleased to see the difference. What does that mean, Anna? Wait, a blind man would be pleased to see the difference. He'd be pleased to see anything, so he'd be pleased to see the difference. What do you mean? I imagine that saying is not supposed to be a riddle, and yet I'm like, what? I saw a film once and it had a phrase in it that I keep repeating for no reason. Um, it was yeah. So should I say it? So it was like a gangster film. I feel like it was Black Dahlia. Is that a film? I can't even remember the gist of it, but there was one scene where like one of the gangster type guys, he said, if you pee in your pants, you only stay warm for a while. Isn't that a really good line? Okay, I'm just going to check you're okay before I do the next move. And I'm going to grab a thick pen. Maybe I could use a. It has to be a pen that fits into my compass. So, please tell me your top vegetables. I know that's random, but I really am like a fan. And I'll grab my pens if I know where they are. That is, here they are. And please, 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 please appreciate. Oh, they're a full set. Oh, they're not a full set. What is this cheeky little pen doing in here? Oh, naughty, naughty. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go for purple.
Hi,
Oh, this is
hi, Samira. Hi, Samira.
hi.
Should we use a pen for this next step?
Okay, so I don't recommend using a pen when you're a beginner because when it goes wrong, it's really a little bit traumatic. So what I would say is maybe use a heavier pencil. And then once you've done it with a heavy pencil, potentially you can then outline it in pen. The other thing that I was alluding to is that it's actually worth coloring in. So once we've done this next step, then I'm going to show you if we add in a layer of coloring in, then what we are able to see is easier. So avoid the pen for a moment longer, I would say. But because I'm showing you, I want it to be visible. I'm going to do it in pen and then hopefully there'll be no mistakes. Okay, so Claire said my favorite is aubergine. I do like aubergine. I love baba ganoush or any variation of that. I think it's delicious and delectable. But when it's just sitting there grilled, I'm not going to pick it up. Alifia, bottle gourd, bitter gourd, lady's fingers, okra, urvi, methi sag. Sorry, don't know the English names for the last two. Okay, urvi, I love with all my heart. Methi methi is, oh, I know the word for this. These are like Indian subcontinent, South Asia vegetables, but I think they're fenugreek. Oh, I love that. Love that stuff. Yeah. So a lot of these vegetables that are kind of specialized in different areas of the world, you can just fall for them so beautifully. Love them. Okay. Ah, my taste buds are tantalized. So what we're going to do now is we're going to draw these X's in. Now, what I want to sort of show you, in some places they are fully here. So here, can you see there's a full cross? Here, although it's a dotted line, it's a full cross. Here, there's only one line. So do we go around putting in lots of lines in, or do we not worry about it and just line up our ruler with intersections and go for it? So because I'm using pen, I'm going to switch to my ruler that I can turn upside down. So something like this. So notice this is the right way, and this means that the pen is slightly, and the pen, the ruler, and the paper are not all three touching each other. So I'm avoiding smudges. And I'm going to put in these crosses. Okay, so they are from the outer circle to the outer circle in the spaces between. And this is essentially what I'm doing, but there's loads of them. But let's count them up. There's 6 there, there's another 6, and then there's 3. Oh my God. I think there's one missing here. Somebody said in the handout. There's one missing there. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. There's 30 of them. Wowzers. So the way you work your way around it and to avoid missing them, you could just kind of uh, do the same orientation ones. So like if I start here and slide my ruler until I meet these intersection points. So what am I using to line up? So this point and this point I'm using to line up, but I'm only drawing it here. So those two are in the same position. Let's find the next pair. So can you see from this and this, they're on the same line. So I just draw the part where I need it. And then this and this. 1, 2, and then one more. This. So there's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think I've got them all. So then if I do that in the opposite direction, I can now put in the crosses completely for this sort of gang, 3 at a time or 2 at a time or however many at a time. Oh, I've just realized I missed the central ones. So I'll have to go back in a moment and just do those. Hmm. So you start picking up some rhythms, and I think it's a good way to kind of deal with the task. And if I just put these two in, so essentially this cross is right in the middle of this square, curvy, weird square. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then when I do the next gang, so let me do the rest of this gang, I can do the same. So pretend I didn't draw that. Now I'm going to draw the next gang. So this idea of doing things a couple at a time is quite efficient. You start learning to see the repeats. And even if you miss them, you can go back. So like I did, I missed it and then I went back. Or if you've missed it completely in the handout, go back eventually. It's not the end of the world, is it? It's all good. You know, it's really funny. So like um I'm not one to introduce stress and pressure for no reason. Like so if I compare myself to other people, like I have friends who just are very stressed out. And I'm like, it's not a stressful situation. Like, why are you getting stressed? Like there's no reason to be. And then I'm so grateful for the world I work in. I said, there's no emergencies in my art world. Like, there's nothing deeply pending and urgent and has to be done. Like, it's not really thing. Yusuf, is gang a technical term? Which gang are we talking about? I've got so many. What have I said? What's the rest of the sentence? I've immediately forgotten what I've said. In my gang. My gang.
No, you refer to a set as a gang.
What did I refer to?
I think a set of circles as a gang that you were doing all at once rather than randomly going around.
Yeah, that is a technical term.
Ah,
Obviously. Come
it's,
on.
yeah,
Maths
and along
language.
with your gangster film reference, oh my goodness me.
If you pee your pants, he didn't say pee, he said the full word. But if you
Oh,
pee your pants, you only stay warm for a while. And literally, the entire film plot was lost on me for the next 5 minutes as I pondered on this great wisdom because I was like, that is profound.
that is,
So
isn't it?
it
That's a
is.
wonderful film moment and quote.
And then, it occurred to me for so many years, I tried to Google it and look it up to see what film it was. And this was in a time when pre-internet. So, like
Mm,
when you went out, how do you know you went out? Like there was no I had no record of it. I don't know who I texted. So I found this old calendar I used to have and I basically found it in there in like my diary that I'd gone to the cinema with such and such. And I checked with them, they don't have no recollection of it. So it was like doing
amazing.
detective work before the internet of
Yes.
whether this thing happened or not, and it was way hard. I would say my life, I don't know what happened between 1996 and 2003. I can't really guarantee or tell you with any firmness what happened because before that it was all university and there was like I can ask those people, maybe they can double check my stories, but between 96 and this is a bit vague. It's really bad because I didn't have the internet to confirm it. It was now, what I can tell you exactly where I was any time of the day for the last how many years because I go into my Google Maps and it's all there. So I don't have any privacy settings. I just put it all out there. I can go to my Instagram. I can check it. That's how I do my accounts, by the way. I just think, whoa, what is that? What is that expense? And then I look on my, what I did on like my photos and on my Google map. I can figure it out. How cool is that? Okay, right. So what I was saying earlier about coloring things in, I think is a useful way to approach this pattern. Now, I'm carefully looking for coloring in pencils. I have loads of them. Where are they? I'm just going to go and grab them from over there. I assume they're over there. Are you over there? Oh, I've got a whole box of them. So can we check that we're okay with this? So make sure you've got all these crosses in. And I've got one wobbly one, but I think mine are all there. And then we will do the next step. Okay. So can I just say later on, or at some point, there are sort of some partial things going along the edges. And I basically employed the tactic of avoiding it till I needed to deal with it. So I'm sort of doing the same here. But let's do the next thing, which is coloring it in, and then we can um see the pattern a bit more clearly? Okay. This box is so cold and metal. Okay, so this is my set of coloring pencils. And I'm just going to take some light colors because I don't want it to become overwhelming. So let's pick this and another slightly different one. And so let's go there, something like that. So what we want to do is figure out the components of this pattern. And basically, because I think it's quite hard to see, before we do this business, which is picking out these lines, it might be helpful to do this. So you could do it for a little bit, or you could do it for, you know, a lot of it. It's fine. So perhaps I'll go to my finished drawing and let's see if I can position things nicely. So in this pattern, there's two L shapes. One is quite even, so its arms are the same length. So there's one there, okay, and it's kind of rotated, and opposite it is its partner, okay. So there's an L shape, and then imagine it's rotated over to the other side, and there's its partner. So it looks like two, okay. So now, if I want to find the next one, I have to kind of look at it in a funny orientation. So this is why coloring it in is quite useful. So what you can do, let me just give you my little tactic, is you can turn the paper and then you'll see that two shape again. Okay, and then you can color that in. So if you are having trouble seeing the pattern, I would suggest adding in this little step of just adding a little bit of color. And maybe you don't have to do it throughout, but just in enough places for you to get the gist of it. So you're actually having to pick out the shapes, you're learning to see the shapes. It just helps. Okay. And by rotating it, I think it helps as well. So I'm going to do this only in the center because otherwise you're just watching me color in. So, I mean, which you are doing right now. That's fine. Did anyone watch The Traitors? I'm not going to spoil it, but it's such a fun program. Please do watch it if you like. What's it? Gameplays, psychology, humans watching them be wild. That's so funny. Anyway, it's a really great show, and I got home yesterday. Can I say I went to Erica said yes, isn't it so good? And I love the twists and I love the turns and I love it. It's a really fun program, but yeah. I don't think I'd be any good on a program like The Traitors because I'm like, it's a game. Chill out, relax. Like, I don't think I'm that emotionally invested in stuff like that. Like, it's not that big a deal. Okay, so that is the shape that is one of the confusing ones. But this fella is the other confusing one because, the four of them meet together. So if this is a 2 in this orientation, coming out from the left, what is that? Oh my God. Coming out to the right is the longer L. Okay. So now you've got a little bit of a sense of another pattern. Now, do I want to refer to this as a 2 as well? It's actually more of a Z because it's back to front. Let's turn it on its side so you can see what I mean by that. So here you've got kind of like a Z. Does that make sense? Let's make it a little bit firmer. And so whatever orientation helps you see it, use that orientation. So if I think of it as a Z, a weird Z, oh, is that right? Yeah. And they touch, this is the annoying thing, they touch each other. So all of these longer L's, if I put in the actual edge of that shape, can you see how annoyingly you have to sort of separate them out because they are like adjacent to each other. So this is a little bit of an annoying thing. Okay, so I'm just going to do just one round of these, but hopefully it will make a little bit more sense. I'll do it dark on this side and light on this side, just so that it makes it easier to distinguish. And so dark on this side. So this, because it's such a tricky pattern, is a worthwhile thing if you're struggling. Okay, and now I am just doing colouring in. So what I was finding is the outlining, I was losing my rhythm with the compass very frequently. So it was really frustrating. It's just like I would lose concentration. So the edges are hard for that reason as well. But I don't know. What can we do to counter that? Perhaps you could do it in pencil. Perhaps you could do it on tracing paper. Perhaps you can do things that if you make a mistake, they're fixable. Okay. So, sorry if that went off the board. So these are the dodgy shapes, okay? And then between, so this is happening here, and then it's overlapping and overlapping, overlapping. So it's quite a lot to deal with, okay? So you could colour in the whole lot, and it would be potentially useful to do. Now, I'm putting off the inevitable, but we now need to outline the pattern. And this is the kind of the thing that I found really hard to do consistently. And Maximum, Diane, Diana, she had a technique that was different to mine. So I was doing a lot of rotating the paper, and she was doing a lot of doing the repeat around the paper. So I thought that was actually a better way and less confusing. Okay, so I might try to demonstrate that as well. Okay, so we are now, having tried to help ourselves, we are going to outline the inner circle, okay, for all of them, and then the outer circle for all of them. Now, the thing with doing this is your eye gets used to seeing the same thing every time. So if you miss a line or miss something, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, is it even there? What's happening there? Like, so it's confusing. So you've got to be super, super consistent. So open up your compass. If you can attach a darker pen, sorry, a darker pencil, or you can use a pen if you're feeling brave, or you could do it freehand. Okay. The rhythm I decided is the inner circle leaves a gap of 2 squares between each arc. So this arc I'm about to draw, it's like if I look at what it's leaving between each one, it starts on the top of the cross. Let's zoom in. Okay. And let's bring this a bit closer. Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to position it. So what I'm trying to repeat is the rhythm of this. So if you look, can you see I draw the line through 1, 2, 3 intersections, okay? And then I've left a gap and a gap. So it's like it's 2 squares. I don't know how to describe it. And then I continue again. So you can go 1, 2, 3, gap, gap, 1, 2, 3, gap, gap, 1, 2, 3, gap, gap. Somehow my center's moved. 1, 2, 3, gap, gap. 1, 2, 3, gap, gap. 1, 2, 3, gap, gap. And also I start to the cross and it finishes along the side of this teeny tiny triangle. Jonathan's finished the crosses, yay. So now I can do that in all the places. Okay, so I actually will start up here because I think it's trickier. So I know it finishes or it starts on the cross. Actually, I might do those all together. I'll do all the full circles first and then I'll do the outer edge. So let's see. Let's move that. Okay, so start at the cross. 1, 2, 3 sections, gap, gap. 1, 2, 3 sections, gap, gap. So you kind of get into a rhythm of it. And if you lose concentration, that's when you're likely to make a mistake, if you're anything like me. So concentrate your little socks off. Okay? And if you need to have a break, honestly, it's worth it. So 1, 2, 3. And now I'm thinking my lines aren't even that dark. So, this line I'm outlining with, it's not actually that dark. And I would say these inner circles are easier in my mind than the outer ones. Just so you know. So I didn't find the inner ones as difficult, and I didn't make that many mistakes with it. But when I did the outer ones, oh my gosh, ugh, it was horrific. Okay, so yesterday I went to the Riverside Studios. It's a theatre in Hammersmith, and I saw a one-man play, and I thought it was brilliant. Okay, sorry, I'm just gonna. It was so good. It was called 10 Nights. So the month of Ramadan is coming, and in the month of Ramadan, there's this idea that in the last 10 days, you go into sort of solitude, and are worshipping, reading the Quran, meditating, fasting, sort of, quietly by yourself, right? So a lot of people do this in the mosque. They kind of section off a little bit for themselves, and then they just kind of are fully doing this. So the story was about this guy doing it. And it was a one man play. And oh my God, I laughed and I cried. And like, it was so good. Like, I was literally watching it like a hawk. Isn't that a mad skill? Like, you can have one person doing a play and you are just totally engaged and watching so intently and entertained for such a long period. I was amazed. I was like, how'd you do that? And then I found him on social media and I was like, whoa, let's have a look. And he had all like Mr. Posing, cool guy pictures. And I was like, okay, chill out, dude. That was quite funny. Anyway, so I have done all the central ones. He was a very good actor. I can't really tell you his name. Can I? Adil something. I want to say Ali. I don't know, but the play was called 10 Nights and it was on at the Riverside Studios. And that's in Hammersmith. That's so irrelevant to all of you who are not in London. Sorry about that. But it's touring in London, but I was very entertained. It was very good. Okay, so I've done all the full ones, okay? And I now need to do the ones around the edges. Okay, so my tactic for this is basically to give myself the same position for this one, okay, every single time, and then I'm going to do the larger ones. So there's these bigger ones and these smaller ones. So I know it goes from the cross to the and then to the triangle and then two gaps. And on the other side, if I do the two gaps, it's there and it's there. Let's go all the way. Okay, so it's like I've got two things to draw. So rather than me do it in the weird way each time, I'm just going to do the two lines that I know all 6 times. Okay, and it's just far easier for my brain to do it that way. So I'll do cross to there, and then this one, the gap, I'm sort of continuing on that side. And then I'll do the same with the other partial one. Okay, this is the full one, this is the gap, this is that one. So I'm doing it way more systematically and less chaotically than I was doing it when I was having my tantrums with this pattern. It was carnage. This is the good thing about teaching. You just start becoming a little bit more sensible in how you do it because you're showing people. Sarah Beth, just adding my gold pen to dazzle and distract from all mistakes. Ah, nice tactic, Sarah Beth. Love it. Okay, so I'm now gonna do this one. So I'll put the compass down, and if I start on this edge, so can you see here? There's the triangle. So I know it ends. The triangle has to be outlined. Then I'll start from the cross, so it's got another section. Then it goes from here, so it's a third one. So this bigger circle has 3 bits I need to do, and I'm just going to do all 3 lines in the same orientation every single time. So a little bit finishing the triangle, cross to the triangle, cross to the triangle. Okay. So this is how I should have done it when I was doing it myself, but no. I awarded myself. I gave myself the title of Captain Chaos because why wouldn't you be chaotic? Okay, let's do this. Triangle, cross to circle. And can I just say my mission today is to not make a mistake. I mean, I don't want this pattern to be my nemesis in the video. It's my nemesis outside of this. So I want it to I want to perform. I want to perform well. I'm going to give an Oscar-winning performance. Oh. Okay. Oh, gone a bit too far. I'm not going to mind that. That one's a little bit not across. Okay, I think oh, I've done it. So, just to clarify, I have done all my inner circles for the full ones and for the ones around the edge. I am happy as Larry. I'm also going to do something now, which is I'm going to put in the outer circle because I want to have something to aim for, like a completedness. So if I put this in, one is pretty much on the circle we drew, and the other is replicating this width. So whatever that width is, if I can duplicate it, so this width, I'm just duplicating, that's that one. Okay, so now my actual nemesis is this outer circle. So let's have a look at it close up and shout at it. So this one, it has a gap of 1 square and it goes far. Like it goes from the cross, okay, in a clockwise direction. So it goes from the cross to clockwise direction through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections, then a gap. So I'm going to try to use all of that and my special powers. I don't have any special powers. I'm going to put the heating on. I need all the willpower I can do to do this. Anyway, how are you doing? Please let me know. I feel like I need some group therapy, please. Actually, can I just say you right? It's really wild, right? No, it's not wild. Nothing wild. So my friend, she lives in another country and she's got a background in therapy, and she was just posting online about her therapy sessions, and she described it as like a group therapy through, I don't know, discussion and blah blah blah. And I was like, oh my God, that's what we do. Like like the way we talk about, our struggles with the particular pattern. And I know it's nothing like big urgent, but it's like, we do that. Let's call it group therapy, art therapy. Or maybe I do it. Okay, so I'm going to go from the cross, and now I'm going to go in a clockwise direction because that's how I'm going to always start at the cross. I'm going to go through 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, leave a gap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, leave a gap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, leave a gap. Sorry if my counting's annoying. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, leave a gap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, leave a gap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, leave a gap. Okay. Erica, I think if I tried to describe what was going on in my head when I was drawing these outer lines, I would have to excuse myself very quickly. Would it involve swearing? Honestly, I was getting so outraged every time I was doing these outer circles. I was like, why are you like this? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not going to talk. I'm going to concentrate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Okay, so something happens on the edges. Let's zoom in. Because on the edge, can you see I would have a gap here because there would be a line there. So this is one of the areas where that gap, I nearly missed it because I haven't got that bit in. So I'm going to complete this circle and I'm going to just make sure 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, and then I stop there. So all these extra little lines I didn't put in. Darn it. So now I'm going to start from there. Okay. Just in case this isn't clear. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gap. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now what happens is when you do a second circle, you start crossing your lines. So the counting is important. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you need to go 5. Okay. So they cross the previous one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Cat, I got lost as I didn't put enough partial circles around the edge, but I'm quitting, trying to keep up and just following what you do. Yeah, I would agree, honestly. So I'm just going to, for a moment, take my pen. Let me take a similar color and just address these little tiny little gaps. I think even in my handout, I got a little bit sad about them. Okay, so let's have a look. So can you see this triangle? It's this one, and there's the L just there. So look how tiny a line I'm putting in. So line it up across the drawing. So where I put this one in, that's all I need. Okay, so if you go around putting that in, when you do your, so you can also line it up with the center, by the way. Center, this, tiny little lines. And if I put these in now, it'll help me in a moment. So I'm going to do it because basically I don't want to be traumatized in a second. Oh, and can I just say I can do 2 at a time? I just noticed. Yes. So again, rather than I see a problem and bury my head and pretend I can't deal with it, I'm dealing with it. I'm potentially saving myself a lot of effort. Now, did I do this when I was working by myself? Of course I didn't. I just mulled on through until I made a mistake. Then I cried. So, I didn't really cry, but you know. Okay, so that one's there and that one's there. Okay, so now that I've done them all, when I do these circles, all my gaps that I'm looking for are going to be there. Are we ready? How are we doing for time? We're doing all right for time. Yeah. That was a weird noise. Okay, so I did this one. I did this one. Let's put in the same orientation. I did it this way around. So I did this one. I did this one. Now I'm going to do this one. Okay, so I'm looking for my cross. I'm working in an clockwise direction. Sorry. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gap. So as you start drawing the pattern more and more, there's going to be a line that comes in your path. So try not to be put off by it. Try to just kind of make sure you know that it's there. And count your sort of sections or squares. Okay, so starting at the cross, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is my gap. So now I'll just do the teeny bit that I need. And it's still off my page. And now I've got my next line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gap. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this line always appears on the inner because that's the only one I've drawn. But as you start doing more and more, as it meets the previous one, you might see it again and again. Okay. Let's see. So starting on a cross, working clockwise, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gap. 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 1, gap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gap. Yeah, it's the rhythm I'm getting into is what I was craving before and I never achieved. So let's start at 12 o'clock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gap. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gap. And I'm actually getting like the recognizing it a little bit better as well now. So yeah, something starts clicking, but just don't, if you feel like you're losing concentration or you're getting distracted, just step away because it's well annoying when you don't. It's like when you do things when you're tired. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gap. One tiny one. And it's there as well. Okay, so one more to do that as a full circle. Then I'm doing partial circles, and that's going to blow my brain. Sorry, it is going to hurt me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gap. Oh, there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, gap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, gap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, gap. Okay, so the thing that Camilla, sorry you have to leave. We'll finish tomorrow. Thanks for demystifying this pattern. You are very welcome. Okay, we are still demystifying in process. So let's do this outer one. So let's see. I'm going to still stick to my theme of clockwise, but with these outer ones, I'm going to rotate the paper. So I do it in this position 6 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, gap, 1, 2. There's the gap. And I'm going to count backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, gap. And so it's there. So yeah, I've got a 1 and then a 5 and a 5 and then a 2. So I'm going to find that one again and I'm going to do it again. So here's my X. So I know there's a gap there. So I'll just do the 1 and then I'm going to do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, gap, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, gap, 1, 2. Yeah, this is way better than I was doing it myself. So thank you for making me making me a better artist. Am I an artist? Yeah. I realized my job's really unique. So yesterday when we went to the theatre, I met my old uni friend and her friends and it was a whole bunch of people I haven't met. So when you describe what you do, you're like, oh yeah, no, that's not very conventional. And honestly, because it's your own life, you don't really realize, oh my God, I've got quite the unique existence. Yeah, so because like me randomly going on holiday in January, and a couple of them were teachers, and I was like, yeah, I know that life very well. It's just not my current situation. So yeah, it was fun. It's honestly sometimes the smugness that comes over me. I have to really rein it in because I don't have the issues that I used to have. Like, this is a concept. I don't know if anyone works in such places, but when you have a workload and it doesn't match the amount of hours you do, right? So this is a classic problem in teaching, but it's a classic problem in many organizations. Say you go to part-time, so your pay is being reduced, but you still got the workload, which is not equivalent to your hours more. So sometimes working part-time is the worst thing possible because you're working the same amount, but you're getting paid less. So yeah, we were talking about stuff like that, and I was just like, I remember that. I remember it well, but I don't do that anymore. Okay, so I've done all those ones, and now I've got these last babies to do. Please be proud of me because I've done them without mistake. Let's see if I can carry on to this. So I found my cross. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gap. 2, 3, 4, 5. And on this side, there's 2. So when I summarize this line, there's 2, then there's 5, and then there's 3. So I've got some sort of system, okay? And now that I've got it, it makes so much sense. Why didn't I do this before? Why didn't I think like this before? I feel like lost opportunities. Sad times. I really let myself mess up this pattern way too many times. But that was about to be a mistake. Stuff like that is a mistake where you just carry on because you don't realize, because you start chatting. You get smug, you get complacent. And if you pee in your pants, you're not staying involved. Sorry, I'm not going to say that again. Oh, in the summer holidays, no, sorry, in the Christmas holidays, I watched so many old films and I loved them so much. Oh, they were so lovely. But not old, I'm talking about 90s. Okay, Sarah Beth, I have a friend who always maximizes how she says things. If she sends something to family abroad, she'll say, I have artwork and private collections in X or Y country. Wow. I can say that. Yeah, I saw somebody, she was describing herself as an international artist, which is completely correct, right? It's accurate, but my response was I sort of laughed because it's such a funny statement, isn't it? I can say I'm an international artist, right? I can say these things, but some of these phrases, they don't sit so comfortably. And I feel like I am grinning and giving away how comical it sounds to me. So yeah, I don't really, I don't know. It's funny. We can describe the same thing in so many different ways. So yeah, how we choose to do that is quite funny. Like, when people, they set up a thing and they call themselves a CEO. But isn't CEO like a business term that you use when you have a company structure? Because like my brother, he's a CFO, and so like that's a job title in a company structure, right? So I was like, what? You can't like I can't just say, okay, I'm the C. Yeah, so sometimes when people use business words, oh yeah. Erica, I can't even say it out loud. That's hilarious. No, my head needs to be kept way small. Okay, so can I just say, I mean, I don't want to be big-headed having said I don't like saying things, but look, I did it. It looks so messy, but we've been through a journey and I did it without any mistakes. I'm so happy. So I think I can stop here because essentially we've got to this part. So what we're going to do beyond it or tomorrow is I'm going to trace it and I'm going to probably tile it on a paper that's a little bit too small just to give that sense of the infinite. So I don't know if I'll do this one exactly because it's quite big, or I might do it a little bit smaller because I do now that I've got this question in my head when who asked me, they said, what size do you like? I quite like the small one now. But yeah, I'm going to be going from this tracing paper, transferring, and then we will paint. And I finished my other painting as well. So I was doing it as I was catching up on all the TV that I missed. Sado. Okay, so let's have a look at what you guys have been up to. Um, Cat, you're such a global icon that you're known by only by your first name. Oh, I learned it from Samir. Okay, great. I love it. Do you know what I love about my family? They do not give two hoots about what I do, right? I mean, not really. Like I sort of I bring up like what I've been up to. I don't really and I honestly I'm really grateful because honestly, people on the internet, you guys, you're just always lovely to me. So my head's like, whoa, I'm so this. But yeah, I need to keep it humble. You got to. Okay. Does anybody want to show what they've been up to? Do I sound creepy? I did see the child catcher. Alessandra, I'm going to come to you. Yes, you're just my friend. Yeah, I think. Can I just say you collectively, I would say, you collectively, sorry, Alexandra, you have to wait for me to say this. You have ruined my friendships with my actual friends because I have so many nice social interactions with you guys that when my other real life friends aren't up to scratch or they're a bit annoying, I just don't really keep in touch with them. So yeah, you've ruined my life, guys. No, no. Okay, Alessandra, what have you been up to? Let's
Okay.
see.
Well, not bad at all for a first time, but
Definitely.
I noticed that I was missing some of my X's, so I got to go
Ah,
back to that part
okay,
because
okay.
the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wasn't meeting up, so I was missing
Yes,
some of the X's, but it's
I,
okay. Good.
yeah, you've raised a really important point there because if you make
Yeah.
one mistake on your X's, then the
Yeah.
thing you're looking for looks different on your inner circles. If you miss
Exactly.
something on your inner circles, then it looks different on your outer circles. So we always need to make sure that each prior step is fully done. So that
Yes.
is
Yes.
a really valid point. So do your
Yes.
X's, then do your inners, then do
Thank
your
you.
outers.
All right.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Okay, remove spotlight. Let's have a look. Anybody else? Sorry, that's such an annoying voice. Maria Claudia, I'm coming to you. Hello.
Hello.
Very
Um,
cool.
always have a problem with light here. Um,
Yeah.
I did it. I made this a week ago, I
Yeah, yeah,
think.
yeah. I like it.
And yeah, and today I wanted to experiment. When you said about the position, go a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit up, or I said, okay, I wanna try a rectangle. And so that
Oh, okay.
it did change very
Yeah.
much the position. I
Wait,
mean,
what have you? Okay, so you've lost actually the triangles and they've become a knot. So the L's have met like a knot.
yes.
Interesting. Okay. Ah, you could do so many variations by doing this, having this mindset, actually. Very interesting.
Yeah,
Very cool.
yeah.
Yeah, and also I understand how we like the L's to have the same thickness throughout, but then
Mm-hmm.
what would happen if you moved one and moved the other? Like, do you see what I
Yeah.
mean? That could be an interesting thing to do.
Yeah.
Very nice. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Because stuff like this, I like to experiment, but I don't have all the time to do it. So when other people do it, it helps to see all the variations. So thank you for that. Brilliant.
Oh, you are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Who else? Oh, so I've got some cameras on. Wave at me if you'd like to show something. I can see Erica's artwork, so I'm assuming they're okay. So I can see. I'm going to go Erica, Yusuf, and Jonathan. Then I'll do the next round. Hello, Erica.
Hello.
Oh,
That's where I'm
nice.
at so far. There was a lot of I freehanded Samira.
Yeah, I did
I'm
too on
physically
mine.
ill doing it, but I did it just to speed up the drawing the lines. And then the black went where I made mistakes, which dictated the colours.
Yeah.
And then I've just started filling it in with
It's like
others. So
semi-showing, semi-confessional.
it's a little bit. I've been through a whole lot. I've been through a ride this 90 minutes, seriously.
It's good.
But yeah,
It's
I'm
so
quite
funny
chuffed.
when I love it, and like it's so
Post.
funny when people do the similar things to you do, like the whole using a black to cover things up. Oh, it's like I love it because powder is a beautiful color when it adds it to it. But yeah, the reason behind it is always sometimes a little bit sketchy. So it looks great.
Yeah, it's a strange colouring thing, but I quite like how it's turned out.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, no, it's
thank
cool.
you.
Thank you. Oh dear, we're all the same. We all do the same. Okay. Hello, Yusuf.
Hi. Blue Peter, here's what I prepared earlier.
Yeah.
I don't know that was just like a couple of weeks ago when you first did it. And
Wow.
I always do these things. It was interesting you were saying about doing things either big or small. I always end up doing things too small.
That's
And,
so
sit
impressive.
there, with a candle almost at night, kind of doing
Yeah.
those types of things. But actually, like the naughty student in your class, I actually have been in my notebook today. So I'm just going to show you that instead, because I like my notebooks.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. You've got
Um,
such a talent. My goodness,
um,
mashallah, it's amazing.
and that was from like Sarah Dyer is one of these artists who does a kind of a monthly
Who
forum,
is it? Say it again, please. The name?
and Sarah Dyer.
Oh, please put it in
And
the old chat as well, because if anyone else is interested, that's nice. That's beautiful, by
yeah,
the
and she
way.
did some stamps the other day from Palestine. So I've just been sitting here doing that, and I read a couple of stories. But there you go. And I also just come along and listen to the chat and listen to you being a
Thanks.
gangster, because that's what you are at heart.
I am. I literally. Thank you so much. And one day we need to have a flick through your sketchbook proper, please. I want to see all the different things. Yeah? Thank you. Okay, remove pin. Hello to Jonathan. Sorry. It's like play your cards right. Come on down. Jonathan, you're on mute, but we can see your artwork.
Sorry, I made this today and only made a couple mistakes.
That's all right.
And then this is I've been trying to find a pattern, and I really kind of like this pattern I'm finding. Like chopped it in half and found triangles and then kind of doing.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I keep talking over you. Say
No,
that was
no.
like those triple, like a ninja
Yeah.
tri-star. That's
Yeah.
very cool. Wait, hold it up again. I want to see it properly. Just sorry. I feel like I just found something. Yeah, that's really nice. Really
Yeah.
cool.
I'm gonna try and paint this one with that or something.
Yay.
We'll see.
Very nice. Oh, that's so good. Like two of you have done things where we're seeing different patterns within the patterns, which I love, I love, I love. So thank you so much, Jonathan. I don't know. Does everyone else? I love that sort of thing. We've all done the same thing, but one little change by one person, you've got a different thing. Another different change by another person. I love this. I love this. This is like a way of exploring and expanding what we've got. We've got this vocabulary, and then we're just adding more to it. Okay. Oh, Jonathan, I can see something else you're holding up. I'm gonna bring you back. That's very cool. Wait, how many circles is that? Bring it back.
Oh, it's just one more in the middle. So it's like chopping the two in
Oh.
half, and then you get lots of Yeah.
Did that blow your mind? Like it's blowing my mind just looking at
Yeah.
it.
It hurt my
Wicked.
head.
Oh my God. I gave myself a headache just doing the normal ones. That's brilliant. Thank you. Okay, let's go back to let's see if anybody else wants to show anything. Please sort of put your camera on and wave if you'd like to. Oh, Sarah C. And I think I'll come back because I can't see any hands up. Hi Sarah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, perfect.
So I started too small
Yeah.
and I got lost. So
Oh, but you
I'm
know
going to
you're
have fun with the video, drawing it bigger and see if I can see the patterns better.
Yeah, no, that is one of the downsides of the smaller, that you really have to be able to see the detail of it. Me personally, I struggle with that a lot. So seeing the smaller shapes is just very hard. So yeah, have a
Yeah.
go again. But also, like I think if I went back to some of my dodgy ones, I'd be able to fix them a bit better now. So sometimes the mistakes are actually worth like circling back to. You never
Yeah.
know. So don't destroy.
Oh, I won't. I won't.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Why would I assume that anyway? That's such a rubbish thing to assume. Don't destroy your sorry. Okay. I do know somebody who rips up his work every time he doesn't like where it's going. I'm like, well, wow. Rule number one, you're not allowed to rip up anything. Okay. Anybody else want to show anything? How did you do? I think you're all right, guys. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Oh, Kat, let's have a look. There we go. Yay! It's looking all right. I can see your red ones and I can see your black ones, and just, yeah, rotate, carry on. It'll be fine. Thank you. Okay, remove pin, and I think I'm going to remove my pin, and then I'm going to go for gallery view. Okay, cool. Excellent. Thank you so much. We continue tomorrow, and yeah, then I might reveal a little sneaky peek. Okay, Sarah Beth, what time are we back tomorrow? That's a good question. So UK time is 10 a.m. So any suggestions for a ruler in the USA? Okay, so what you've got to actually look for is cutting rulers or metal edge cutting ruler or quilting rulers. The only thing with the quilting rulers is they're quite bendy. If I just grab this one. So this is by Westcott. Can you see it's quite flexible? And the edge is is for working with material, so it's not great. So you're looking for a ruler, I would say, that has that is primary job is a cutting ruler, so the metal edge, and the grids are often there as well. Perspex quilting rulers are good. Yeah. My only gripe with them is they're sometimes a bit too bendy, and they get grimy a bit quicker. I don't know. Maybe it's me. But I didn't like the edge of it. Like this ruler, I didn't like the edge. But other people work really successfully with them. So it's worthwhile trying. If you could go to like a craft shop, go to the bit where they've got the cutting stuff. Okay, I like that question. And also these are really cool. Okay, all right. Thank you so much for joining. I don't know if this time will be suitable for anybody tomorrow, but maybe I will see some of you. If not, you've got the recordings, and then we're going to be into the second month of the year, and I've got it's all in my sketchbook, sorted already. So I just need to pull it all together. But yeah, thanks again for everything, and especially being cool with this wacky month. It'll be kind of a little bit more uniform next month and for the rest of the year. All right, take care everybody, have a lovely rest of your day, and see you when I see you. Bye.
Ciao. See you tomorrow.
Ciao ciao.
Ciao.
I love ciao. Ciao ciao.